And we'll move on to item number 9, Land and Water Conservation Fund grant opportunity, presented by Mr. Brad McIntyre.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. I'm here on behalf of the Park and Rec Commission and staff requesting council to adopt a resolution to authorize an application for a grant from the California Department of Parks and Recreation Land Water Conservation Fund in the amount of $1.1 million for the development of a park located within the Harder specific plan. As a background, in May of 2004, Tierra Buena was annexed into the city of Yuba City. In September 2014, council authorized the sale of 10 acres to the sale of Twin Rivers Charter School, and the proceeds from that sale were earmarked for the development of a future park in an underserved area. In March of 2015, or the beginning of March, at a council priority workshop, council directed staff to identify underserved areas within the city. At the end of March, the Parks and Recreation Commission identified Tierra Buena as an underserved area and requested staff to identify potential properties in the Tierra Buena area. The question is, how did we identify Tierra Buena as an underserved area? That was your next question, I'm sure. Great question. This is a map of our current park located within the city limits. The circles represent a half-mile radius from those represented parks, and the yellow area represents underserved areas. This is the Tierra Buena area. This would be south of Highway 20. And then we have also known as the key area down in here, which is not within the city limits yet. So back to the Park and Rec Commission, they asked the city to identify 3 locations in the Tierra Buena area. Those 3 locations that we identified were the Monticello Talavera site, Stonegate and Monroe Drive, and Harder Parkway. The Monticello Talavera site is a privately owned piece of property. Now this square kind of shows the potential park, but the property owner owns this entire piece pretty much. This is an identified future park. No matter what happens, this is identified as a future park, 1, in our general plan, and 2, it has been identified through the submittal of a residential development plan that came before staff in 2006. With the economy, that proposal was pulled away, but this is one of the ways that we identified this piece of property. We have Stonegate and Monroe Drive. It is this property right here, just off of Stonegate, and there is, that is Monroe, there is Stonegate. This is the backside of Faith Christian, just to give you an idea. This is city-owned property. It is approximately 3 acres, just a little bit less. It is property that is owned by the city that was used for a wastewater plant and sewer system. And so this was another piece of property that was identified. Then we have the Harder Parkway. It is also city-owned, approximately 5 acres. It was identified as a future park as well, and it was identified through the Harder specific site plan that council adopted in 2003. So these are the 3 locations. Again, it's important because I'm going to kind of belabor the point a little bit, but 2 of these sites are city-owned. This is privately owned. I personally met with the owner of this site, asked them if they were interested in selling any of the property for an appraised value, and they were not interested at all. They wanted way above appraised value to start with. It was just not going to be feasible for the city to even further conversations about it. One of the things I want to point out is that the Harder Park site, which is the area that we are requesting to apply for a grant, there is the bike path right here. And you will see that in the proposal for the grant is to connect this future park to the bike path as well. That is a component that is in the grant application. So we took these 3 identified properties and we took them to the Tierra Buena neighborhood. We had a meeting at Tierra Buena School in November of 2015, and we provided them the information with the properties that we had identified. Around 50 individuals got to vote on the property with sticky pads, and their preference was the Monticello Televere site, the privately owned site. Their second preference was the Harder site, the Monroe site, and then there were some individuals there that did not want to park at all. The next meeting was in December when the Park and Rec Commission reviewed the comments from the public. We, in addition, had 5 community members show up to that meeting. 4 spoke in favor of the Harder site. There was another individual that was in favor of the city not pursuing any of the properties and trying to find something else. So we went back, and we had a Park and Rec Commission meeting back at Tierra Buena School in February. And it was before the commission to discuss 2 options for a grant application. Checking my notes to make sure I don't forget anything. At this meeting, there were about 20 to 25 neighborhood residents at this meeting. It was about an hour and a half long. It was a very long conversation. At the end, the Park and Rec Commission voted to forward their recommendation to the City Council, that's why I'm here tonight, to apply for a grant to connect the bike path and create a 5-acre park located on Harder Parkway. So let's talk about the grant. The grant is called the Land and Water Conservation Fund. It is a matching grant, and the city has at the most $1.1 million to apply for the grant. That's how much money the city has. So if we were to be successful in the grant, if we take our $1.1 million and they match it, we have approximately a $2.2 million project. It is an opportunity to maximize our public dollars. It has to do with timing, if you will. The grant is due April 1st. The grant that we are asking for the site is located at the Harder specific plan. What's important to note here, because I've said this a few times in public meetings, is that if we are lucky enough to get the grant and we build a park, it does not exclude the future park at the Monticello site. That is still in the general plan. It is just going to be based on future development. So the proposed park is right here off Harder Parkway. You have the 2 water towers. You've got the proposed bike trail extension along there, which would, end up at the park. And of course, you have the current existing bike trail. To bring in a little bit closer view, this is tonight's recommendation. It is for a $2.2 million park, which is a 5-acre park. It has our typical amenities that we have in our Yuba City parks. It has a parking lot. It connects to the bike trail. And the city would be committing $1.1 million. The alternative, I want to give you options, of course, is this piece right here. It cuts the park down clearly by about 75%. It creates a parking lot, maybe a couple amenities at best. It is still connecting the bike path. The city funding would be for about $750,000, which gives us about a $1.5 million project. Again, that is a recommendation before you. The alternative, which we just showed, and then of course the second alternative. I believe we have some individuals in the group that would like to talk tonight.
Prior to opening this to the public and hearing public comment, are there any questions that members of the council may have?
There's only, through the mayor, there's only one comment that I did make this afternoon to him was there's no water features in there, are there?
That is correct. There are no water features at this time. Yep.
You may have a water feature if we don't maintain the water tanks directly behind it, though.
Then we'd have a very large water feature.
Bad joke. Sorry about that. All right. No other comments. We'll open this to the public. We do have a written request from Lynn Bankhead. She'll be allotted 5 minutes.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, Council, I appreciate being able to speak to you this evening. My concern is this. I live directly on the bike path. My house backs up to the bike path. We have enjoyed that now ever since the path has been viable. My concern is bringing the bike path all the way to Harder Road, because I see Harder Road being next door to Walmart. Walmart is a haven for indigents. It's a well-known fact. And I don't want them crossing the road and using that path to come into our neighborhood. The other thing is, Harder Road is not Terra Buena. Terra Buena is Hooper Road. It is not Harder. So I would like to see the council find a space in the Terra Buena area to put our park, not at Harder Road. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You had about, I think, 4 minutes and 5 seconds left if you had anything else to. I want to give you all the opportunity to speak, so
Well,
you're passionate, so.
I am passionate about it, and there are many people in my neighborhood who are. Many of them were planning to come tomorrow night. We were first told the meeting was going to be tomorrow night, and it wasn't going to be at the city council. It was going to be with the Parks and Rec. So we had the 16th put down instead of the 15th. So many of them have other obligations tonight. Anyway, so I've lived there now 25 years. And when I moved in, I was told as a homeowner that there was going to be a park within my neighborhood, and the place where it was going to be allocated was on Monroe, which at that time made sense. And the issue tonight was said that it was part of a sewer system or something. The step system has gone over there to that site, but it's long gone, because the city put in a full sewer system for us. So as far as the development of that 3 acres, that's a possibility. We've also talked about restrooms being put on Harder Road. Who's going to maintain them? There's going to be more issues for maintenance in that park for restrooms. What else did we talk about? All kinds of things. But I still believe that the Monroe site is a much better site for this. It's more contained. The neighbors around us see that as part of our neighborhood, and they would be able to use it easier than going all the way to Harder Road. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, we have a second speaker card. This is was turned in tonight by Linda Baker. And Linda, you'll have 3 minutes. If you'd like to take about 2 minutes of Lynn's time, that's fine also.
Good evening. I'm Linda Baker. I live at 1261 Kimberly Drive and have for 32 years. To give you some perspective, I put my lawn chair in my front lawn to watch the River Valley High School fireworks at graduation night. I have lived at my location for 32 years and have been patiently waiting for a park to appear in the neighborhood. In 32 years, we've seen Walmart built and moved, Lowe's and Home Depot come and go, all kinds of businesses. We've seen so much development in that area, and yet the closest park to me remains Greenwood Park. I am not fearful of the indigents that Lynn thinks live at Walmart or loiter there. I can walk to Walmart from my house. I have never suffered at the hands of any indigents. I would be delighted to go to the Harder site. I just think it's a very logical location. I think it would serve the community, and I have always, although I am east of Hooper, have always considered myself to be in Terra Buena. So I just think it's a very logical location. I've attended every one of the meetings and listened to all of the input, and I think it's city-owned property. I think the access is logical. I think the extension of the bike path would be wonderful for the community, and I just really endorse this application.
Thank you very much, Linda. Any other member of the public wish to speak to this? If you just state your name.
Good evening. My name is LaDonna Kurteman. and I'm not a public speaker, so I'm going to try to get through this. So, I have lived at Libby Lane and Walnut Park community in Terra Buena for 8 years. And like many of us, when we bought our house, we were told by the builders that a park was in the works. And our kids were young, and we were really looking forward to having a park close to us. Unfortunately, the park was never built. And our kids had to grow up playing soccer and basketball and hockey in the streets, as the kids do now. And you drive through our neighborhood, and there's kids always in the streets playing, which does not seem safe to me. So as a concerned neighbor, I started a neighborhood watch program and organize our national night out party every summer, and Mr. Dukes has been to a couple of those. So as every time our neighbors got together, the topic of the community park that we were all promised always came up. And there was always this concern about when's it coming, where's it going, and everyone turned to me and I didn't have the answers. So I started taking action. We got a list of all the people that wanted a park in the area, and it was about 150 names. And we actually presented a recommendation a few years ago, and I'm sure you guys all remember, right? Because you read that, right? We made a recommendation, and I'm sure that that's what spurred you on into starting this plan of finding us that we're underserved in our area and that we definitely need a park in our area. So while the residents might not agree on the location or the amenities, I'm sure that we all will agree that a park is long overdue in our area, as evident by that map that you saw. So I would like to recommend that we all as neighbors get behind, and I recommend joining with the Parks and Recreation Commission in asking the City Council to vote tonight to approve the maximum amount of funds, that's the whole amount, so that we can use the full efforts of the matching grant to build us an awesome park in the Terra Buena area. Don't make us wait anymore. Don't make any more kids wait and play in the park. Don't wait for what might be. There's an opportunity right now, and let's do it. Go big and make it fun. There. Did you need this?
Well, you now have a second career as a public speaker, so. Any other member of the public wish to speak? That's going to be a hard one to follow. Before we start the conversation with members of the council itself, I do want to acknowledge the fact that Libby Lane, we've been there, we've talked, we've been out in the middle of your street with bands playing. We've had those discussions regarding parks, and promises of developers are one thing. What we're bound to do as a city is provide those amenities and certainly those recreational opportunities. No fault of the county itself in its planning. It's short-sighted many times in the past, where they never built or set aside space to build and develop parks, nor expended the funds that they had available to build parks. And the city, we're very proud of the parks that we do have. They're well maintained, they're well used, and I think that we have, as newer residents of Yuba City through an annexation, we have an obligation to put parks in that area. We'll get it done. And it may be your grandchildren's children that see the final park out there. Parks are expensive. You think all you're doing is just leveling off ground and putting seed out and making some type of sod. But there's a lot of planning that goes into it, and a lot that goes into the works of building a park. And certainly we want to be able to provide the very best of resources to the community. So I'll open it to comments of other council members.
To the mayor. If you put that map back up, one of the things that's very, very important when the commission started meeting, and one of the things we wanted with the Terra Buena one, with the property owners that have that lot or the park that's designated. And I think our goal for that area was, and still is, that there will be a park there. And I think our direction to the commission was to go talk to the property owners right now and see if we can't purchase that park site. And that's a 10-acre park site that's designated in the entire future development. And it was it's kind of sad and it's a shame that the property owners are asking for a price way above market price. They're asking for a price what property values were before the market crashed. And I think had we been able to reach some kind of an agreement at this point in time, what we consider as a fair market value, I think this council would have definitely supported, including myself, as putting a park there at this point in time. But it makes no business sense, financial sense, to go after a piece of property just for a park at this point in time when there will be a park as soon as development starts at that point in time. So if you take a look at that particular area, I know somebody brought up the Monroe site. Yes, that was a step system at one point in time when that developer put all that stuff in. And it's kind of a shame again that the developers always promise us one thing or the other, and when the entire project is done, there's nothing there. In my subdivision, we were told that we were only going to have one. We were either going to have a Melrose or a school bond, and that's all it was going to be. When it all got said, we have both. We have a Melrose and a school bond. So, it's kind of like you never get what you paid for, in the sense sometimes we get double billed for it. But I think at this point in time, as we're continuing to ready to go and to tie in the bike path, and I think for our community, for those of us that have used the bike path for either walking the dogs or riding the bicycles, whatever it may be, that's a great asset for our community to have. And to link it up from Harders to all the way into the Sutter Buttes and come all the way back, that's probably an underutilized asset that we currently have. So I think at this point in time, that's definitely something that I would support, is going full board with the entire development, because we are matching it with a grant and trying to get it done at one point in time. And one thing I don't want to see is piecemealed and then trying to come back a year later, 2 years later, when costs get even higher. So,
Through the mayor. Just like to make a few comments. Number one, LaDonna, thank you for coming and speaking again tonight. You've been a advocate of a neighborhood park out there in that area for many years. I can't remember now when we were back out for the National Night Out, but it's been a number of years, and unfortunately these projects take a long time to move forward. But we have known for some time that this area of town is an underserved area of town when it comes to our parks. And we had a park up north of Northgate, or land that we had set aside for that we, as you know, sold a year and a half ago now. And that's, our commitment was to take those dollars and to move it into an area that was underserved, and that's part of where this money is coming from to make this happen. And I am very pleased. It's not the optimum, but as you saw, I won't make you go back to that map, but that map, or that location of that Monticello Park, is right on the edge of where our current development is. And as development moves forward in the future, that still is a viable location for a park. But it's still good to have this park here to connect our bike path to our portion of the city to the bike path, and I support this also. And without any, unless there's further comments, I'd like to go ahead and move this item and approve staff's recommendation.
And I'll second that. I've been attending the Parks and Rec meetings and been out to the neighborhood meetings, and I totally support the project. And again, it could be initially 2 sites for parks, and go for the whole thing while we have the opportunity.
And that I'd like to amend that motion to say that I would like that to be for the $1.1 million
Yes.
to do the full project.
Go for the full project. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Just a comment that I've been receiving. The number one comment I get about Parks and Rec is that people want better bike trails, more connectivity, and getting that trail all the way through Yuba City. And that's my number one comment from people when they ask me, when are you going to get that through the city? And so here's one more step to that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.